Welcome to Superhost Down Under. This week we have Carmel on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be
Welcome,
here.
Carmel.
And before we get into your story, we're going to do our weekly topic. Silvia, what do we have for this week?
Well, Ray, I wanted to hear from you because you told me that you had a very difficult situation with a guest when they dropped their wallet, I think it was, or something, a purse or a wallet, into the apartment below your property where they were staying. And that was just the start of it, and it just became a bigger nightmare as the story unfolded. So we want to hear about that one.
So I had a guest stay, actually two guests stay at my apartment in Melbourne, and I received a call quite late in the evening from Airbnb, or a message that came through and said if I was willing to do anything else to help the guest. And I wasn't sure about the context of this because I hadn't been checking all the messages. I don't have push notifications on my Airbnb app. Since I have a co-host, I end up relying on them to take care of the communications, and then I will review messages if they message me. So I then went into the feed in the messages and saw there was some back and forth about help and where the garbage goes, the garbage chute goes, but I didn't really understand what happened. So I messaged my co-host and asked them if there's anything that we need to do. My co-host explained to me that what had happened was that the two guests were smoking on the balcony and they had dropped their wallet or their pouch with their ID and their cash over the edge, and they've been trying to recover this pouch, but the cleaners for the downstairs Airbnb, which is not owned by me, they cleared away the pouch. And so these guests were very stressed because they had all their ID and their cash in this pouch. And so they've been calling my co-host to help get it for them. Unfortunately, we don't have the details for the unit downstairs, nor does the building manager have direct contact to the cleaners. And so the owners downstairs said they didn't see the wallet, or they don't know what they're talking about. And so these guests refused to check out. They said to my co-host that because they've lost their ID and they had all their cash in there, that they have nowhere to go. So they refused to check out. And they said they called the police, and the police said it's okay to stay. So then we had to call the police, and we had to get the police to meet us at the unit. And by then the guests had left the unit with their baggage and the key to the unit. So at that point, now I'm missing a key for my future guests. I have to contact the body corp to deactivate their fob. And so we're messaging the guests on the app and asking them to come back so that we can help sort out their wallet and their cash. So they came back and we were able to get the key from them, but then they refused to leave. They stayed in the lobby, and we had to call the police again. And by the time the police came, the guests have left. But then the next day, the guests came back to talk to the the building manager. And this happened on and on for a couple of days until we told the building manager it's okay to call police because they're trespassing on private property. And it eventually stopped. But this is what happened. Forth in several hours, and then
Or 5G.
so DC.
Did these guests try to knock on the apartment downstairs when they dropped the pouch into the courtyard? That would be the most sensible thing to have done.
The challenge is with the security of this building, which is over 20 floors, that the fob for the unit only allows you to go to the floor where your unit is. So they couldn't go down to the unit below because the fob wouldn't let them. And even if you go through the fire escape, you can only get back into the lobby. You can't go down any floors. You can't enter the hallway. So they couldn't go down themselves. So they called the building manager and they called my co-host.
Mm.
I
So
probably would
how
have
did that?
dropped a note. I probably would have dropped a note down there, like written a note and just threw it down there and being like, "This is my wallet. Please call this number." Um,
Mm.
yep.
Or yelled? I mean, because
But no one
you,
was home yet.
yeah, very complex situation, Ray. Very complex. So fortunately they didn't write a review. Is that right?
They didn't write a review, probably because, they're still traveling around Australia and they still had no ID and no money, and so this probably isn't a priority for them.
Mm.
Um, but
Wow.
even if
And you
they
had to
did,
call you had to call the police twice.
yeah, even if we did get a bad review, we didn't do anything wrong. Like, we're
No,
not
no.
responsible for the units below. We tried our best to connect them with the building manager. We're not the
Mm.
cleaners for the unit below, and we're not entitled to give them free accommodation.
Yes. Yes. Just unfortunate.
Mm.
Just unfortunate that they did do that they dropped their pouch. Mm.
Would either of you have done anything differently?
I'm just thinking about it. It was just a pure accident, really, and we need to accept, don't we, in life that we do things that are accidental and they cause problems. So I think I would have just got onto the bank or whoever and just tried to solve that problem rather than impacting so many people, the police and, the building manager and everybody else. It seems a bit
The
unfair.
host, the co-host.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think also, like, they were smoking on our balcony. So it's like they were already doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. And
Is
I
that
mean,
against your house rules?
yeah, no
Mm.
smoking in or
Mm.
outside, like
Mm.
on the
Okay.
balcony.
Mm.
And when you're traveling, don't put all your ID and money in one place. But like, let alone like carry it out to a balcony, but have some money somewhere else, or a backup bank card or credit card or ID, so that it can't be taken from you so easily. Um, I travel with like a spare bank card, backup ID, like a driver's license and passport. I don't put them in the same place. I don't go everywhere with it. Put it in the safe, or I just put it somewhere in my bag, and I carry the other one with me. So
Exactly.
I think those are lessons for travelers. It can be very stressful if you put all in one place.
Mm. Very difficult situation for those guests,
Yeah, I hope
and
that never happens
for
again. Something
hosts.
like that happens to me.
Well,
Yes.
yours is ground
What,
floor, isn't it, Carmel?
It is. Yeah.
So they can't drop anything down.
No. No.
so let's get into your story, Carmel.
Okay.
Tell us, take us to the beginning. What was the moment that made you decide to get into Airbnb?
Well, my daughter actually motivated me because she bought herself an apartment a few years ago, and she's only very young, and it was a big mortgage, and she did a lot of travel, and someone said to her, why don't you put it on Airbnb while you're traveling? So she started doing that, and it was paying off her mortgage so successfully that she ended up doing house sitting as well when it suited her, or pet sitting, and her place would be on Airbnb, and the mortgage was just getting lower and lower, and it was fabulous. So I just thought, because I live it's a very small 1-bedroom apartment, but it's in a fabulous part of Melbourne, Clifton Hill. It's very popular.
I live near you. I'm in Collingwood.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. Well, you know what it's like. I mean, I'm like a 5-minute walk from the train. It takes maybe 10 minutes to get into the CBD. Is everything you need. So, and I didn't have any of that oh, I don't want people sleeping in my house. Like I'm not like that. I'm quite a minimal person and I don't need to have a lot of stuff anyway. And so I thought, I might think about this. And it took me a little while. And we have a cage downstairs in our building. And so when I have guests, I put all my personal stuff into a plastic box and that goes in the cage. And it didn't take me long to get it set up. And then once I had one guest and I saw how easy it was, I just refined things and I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy it's working this way. So, yeah, it was my daughter who motivated me, actually.
So
And
it's
how would you describe
lifestyle
your home?
hosting.
Sorry.
Well, it is. And I do travel as well. And so it's either empty while I'm away or someone can be enjoying it. And I can be, like I went to India last January before last for a month. And what I got from Airbnb basically paid for my trip.
Amazing. That's
It's
such a great
great.
story. Like, I think often I feel like it's such a waste of resources when like you have a home and it's empty while you go and stay in other accommodation. It's such a great feeling that you're basically swapping it out. Like you're able
Mm,
to let someone else enjoy it while you are enjoying a different space.
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been great. And even now, like this summer just gone, I didn't do any overseas trips, but a friend wanted her cat looked after because he wasn't well. And so they were gone to Europe for 3.5 weeks. And I said, okay, I'll come and live in your place in Richmond, which isn't far from here. And I had full house here while I was looking after her sweet little cat. So that became a summer income for me as my income is now starting to reduce, my work income, because I'm sort of moving into retirement. So Airbnb has become a backup income for me as I start to access my superannuation.
What do you do for a living?
I've been in education for a long time. Started off as a teacher, and then about 15
Mhm.
years ago, I set up my own consulting business, and I work in schools supporting and coaching young teachers. And I'm just getting to a point now where I'm pretty much done with education, and I'm ready for other things. So 2026, I think, will be my last year of doing this work. And so it's great to have Airbnb options as I move into less income.
How do you describe the space that you've created for your guests? Like it's also the space you create for yourself. How do you
Mm.
describe your property?
Yeah, I love my house, my home. It's like a little cozy nest. I raised two daughters and had a partner for many, many, many years, and we lived in big houses and with lots of bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And it's so nice. I only have my own needs now. I live solo. And so I've just gone into a 1 bedroom apartment in this very boutique building, which only has 33 apartments. And we all purchased off the plan just before COVID in 2019. And that was a little bit of a setback because it took 2 years to build, but it's a lot of owners in here still. So owner occupiers.
Mm.
And so the community here is really tight and really friendly. And a lot of my guests have one of their comments has been how beautiful the community is, because if they want to know something, there's always someone to chat to them out in the foyer. So that's the context of the building. Inside, you walk in and it's just calm. It really is very calm because it's double glazed and it's cozy sort of nook at the front of the building. Looks out onto garden, and in the street opposite, we have all been contributing to a community garden right opposite where the building is. So the plants are all growing there. And I've decorated it with my favourite art, and it's got wooden floors and really nice furniture. Nothing fancy, but good quality. It has an earthy feel. I have a timber table that's made out of a tree. And my colours are sort of blues and greens and earthy. So it's very cozy, and people walk in and go, wow, it just feels so peaceful in here. And then there's the little green urban jungle, I call, which is just behind me here through the double glazed sliding doors. And that's quite a small area, but it has a lot of plants in it and an outdoor setting. And that creates a lot of privacy from the street. So when you're sitting in the lounge room relaxing, you're just looking out onto this green urban jungle. Yeah, and it has one little bathroom, which actually I was really happy and surprised. It's quite a large shower because I'm very tall, and it's nice to have a bit of space in the shower. So for a little apartment, it's a great bathroom. And then the bedroom has got a lot of...
How tall are you?
How tall? I'm nearly 6 foot.
Okay, we're similar height then.
180 centimetres, yeah.
I'm the shorty.
I've actually, all my life, I've had big bathrooms. Like the house we built for ourselves when we were together as a family had a walk-in bathroom where you didn't have any glass. It was just a room, an actual shower room. So I like the space around me when I'm showering, and this apartment has a proportionately good-sized shower. And the bedroom's got a lovely outlook onto the gum trees that are sort of opposite. So even though it's in a city and right in the hub of things, it really does feel very calm in here.
Tell us a little bit about
created a lovely vibe.
Yeah, I think it is a vibe.
Sorry,
I
Ray.
think you're right. You're right about that. It is a vibe. And even when my friends come around, they sort of all go, oh, this vibe.
And for those listeners who are not familiar with Clifton Hill, like I'm familiar since I'm not too far away, tell us about what the neighborhood's like.
Sure.
And the appeal.
Yeah, so Clifton Hill is very close to the Birrarung or Yarra River that runs through Melbourne, and I can just walk to the end of my street and I'm already on the river bike tracks and walking tracks, and very, very green. So parkland and very green trees either side of the river. So you can walk for an hour or two along the river, just a 5-minute walk from where my house is. So it's very green. And then the other side to it is it has the best cafe around the corner, a cafe called Uncle Drew's. And that's actually been written up in Melbourne broadsheets and things as one of the 5 best cafes in Melbourne. And they're
excellent.
They're really friendly around there, and so I often end up sitting around there having my morning. I actually don't drink coffee anymore, but I have either a chai or a tea, just to get some connection with neighbours and friends, and they make great food. So if you're a guest coming, say, for the weekend and you don't want to cook, it's great to have something so good, so close. I find a lot of my guests who are here for just I have a minimum stay of 4 nights now. So the ones that are here for 4 nights, quite often they don't bother cooking because there's so much around here to access food-wise. What else? Clifton Hill has 2 train stations that you can access from my home very easily, Clifton Hill itself or Victoria Park, which is just across the Eastern Freeway. I'm very close to the Eastern Freeway, and if guests have a car, that is access down to the Mornington Peninsula within 50 minutes. So that's a real asset as well, having the freeway so close. And to be honest, I don't really hear it because of the double glazing and the fact that I'm on the ground floor, down quite low. There isn't a lot of freeway noise, even though we're very close to it. Yeah. Lovely old buildings in Clifton Hill too, sorry. Originally it had a lot of red brick factories and shoe factories and all sorts, and most of those have now been turned into apartments. And the fibre of the community here is quite historical, like the buildings have been either left how they were, or in the case of my building, they use the bricks from the factory that it was on the foyer floor and sort of red brick out the front to fit in with the red brick of Clifton Hill, which is where Clifton bricks were made back in the day.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's a great place.
And you mentioned that you were away on a trip and you're also house sitting or like taking care of pets. When you're away from the property, who helps you with managing the plants and the guests and supporting your Airbnb
Good question.
visitors?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have friends in the building, neighbour friends. One friend in particular who lives up on level 5, she and I sort of have a exchange thing going on where I'll quite often look after her little dog, or I'll walk her little dog, or look after when she's away. And she's very happy to come down and do the meet and greet if I'm not here, and be the go-to person if I'm overseas. Like with the house sit in Richmond, I was only 10 minutes away, so I was it. If they needed me, I'd be here in 10 minutes. Nobody actually has needed me. So far, I've had no problems, touch wood, at all, while guests are staying. But I always have a backup person just in case. And my policy is to meet and greet, because our building doesn't like lock boxes, and I'm probably the only person who's Airbnb-ing their apartment, and so I'm not allowed to put a lockbox out the front. So that's one of the reasons I stay. I actually meet the guests and hand over the key. But I like doing that anyway, because I get a sense of who they are and they get a sense of who I am, and they actually understand that this is my home. And there's a big difference between staying in someone's home and staying in an apartment that's been set up just for Airbnb or for rental, because my home has it has an essence of me in it, and I'm sharing that with people, and I'm very open to doing that. But I also want in return the guests to sort of respect that, I guess, and so I'm very upfront about it. Welcome to my home. I'm really happy for you to be staying. And I have quite an extensive list of instructions that I leave on the bench with little things, so that anything does go wrong, they've got little solutions. Yeah, and I think that's made a difference to who I've had here. Like, I have had the best guests. I've had probably only one that I would whinge about in the time, and that wasn't it wasn't anything major.
What would you whinge about?
Well, this guest actually didn't read the information sheet, I don't think, at all. So the problems she complained about were answered in the information sheet. And so then when I got a review, it was a little bit negative. For example, the TV doesn't work. Well, the reason why it didn't work was because she turned the internet off at a PowerPoint, and I had, clear instruction: do not turn off the PowerPoint with the internet connection or the TV won't work. So there were things in the instructions that she hadn't looked at, and then complained about those things not working. Or another one was, I have a weird little quirk in my laundry where you have to have a fan on. I think it's a building regulation. While you're using the washing machine, this switch has to be turned on. And weirdly, it turns the switch on in the bathroom as well. It turns a fan on, in the bathroom as well. So if you do a load of washing and you forget to turn that switch off, the bathroom has got a fan going 24/7, and it drives you nuts when you're trying to sleep. So I made a really strong point of that you must turn this particular switch off after you've done the washing, or the bathroom fan will stay on. And she didn't read that or whatever, and had the fan going all night and couldn't sleep. So, yeah.
That's that's more on them not reading the
Yeah,
instructions, I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you find out that she didn't sleep? Did she let you know, or was it
Yeah.
in private feedback? Or
She sent me you know how you can do a review and then you can send a personal message. So she sent me a personal message, quite negative actually, and whingy and complaining. I was glad she didn't put too many complaints in the public review, because if she had, I would have had to respond with, well, if you'd read the instruction sheet. So yeah, she gave me a 4 point. I think it was a 4.8 out of 5, and I was like, excuse me, I always get a 5. And the reason for the reason for that was these things that had already been explained. She just hadn't read it. So I got a bit, I think I mentioned it to you, Silvia, when I was talking to you. I was like, oh, so now I'm down to 4.8. It's going to take me some time to get back up to a 5, and it really wasn't my fault. So that was a little bit annoying.
frustrating,
Did you consider
yes.
disputing it, Carm?
No, I decided I was being a bit pedantic and I just let it go. Yeah.
That's good. That's very healthy.
Yeah. And interestingly, it's already climbed
And
back up to, I think it's 4.89 now. So it won't take long to get back to 5.
I mean, it'll never get back to 5 because
Really?
because yeah, and because it averages it out. So we can't give above 5. So
Okay.
once the sub 5 is broken, it approaches 5, but it'll never be 5 again.
Okay. So there you go. Perhaps I should have disputed it.
It's never too late. I think you're still allowed to
Okay.
dispute it. I think one of the other things that I talk to hosts about is like it's almost a good way to know that it's not influenced the reviews, that you have an imperfect score, because everyone's standard of what good looks like is different, and people's ability to communicate is also different. And so when I started getting like less than 5s, I used to dispute them, and I still do if like they're very harsh or unfair. But some of them are quite subjective. Like if someone says the value is 4 to 5, I'm not going to argue with how they value a place.
True.
And when someone's booking, at least they know they'll read the comments, and the majority of them are very positive. And then they'll see a couple 4 to 5s, and it'll be like, well, at least this person's not buying reviews or like
That's true.
not hiding anything. So 4 to 5 is still like 80%. You know, as a as a student, that's still a good mark. You know, and it also still allows you to be a super host. You'll still be near the top of the algorithm anyway. So I think my properties are at 4.89, 4.88. After 2 years, my occupancy is my metric of success, and it's in like the high 80s to 100. And we charge more than the area because of the design choices that we've made.
Okay.
And if someone says, Ray, would you rather have 5 stars, but you have to lower your pricing so people's standards are lower, and they'd be overjoyed? I'm like, nope, give me the 4.8 every day of the week. I'd rather have my booking record and the money to keep it running.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's my view of it.
It's interesting what you're saying, Ray, because I wasn't getting the uptake that I wanted originally, and so I decided to go with the pricing that is, I don't know what the term for it is, where it regulates itself based on the market.
The smart pricing.
Yeah. As soon as I start doing smart pricing, I got a lot of bookings, right? So, but then once I got a little bit more known, and now I'm almost a super host. If everyone had reviewed, I probably would be by now. I think I've got one more review I need. But I've decided now for the big events, for example, the Melbourne Grand Prix event, I'm just putting a high price on it because I know Melbourne gets booked out. So I've become a little bit more savvy about pricing on the weekends that I know are going to be popular. And then the rest of the time, I just use the smart pricing, you know, if I'm just going away in off season, so that I can make sure I get a guest.
I think the smart pricing for me, from my past experience, underprices. So the incentives for Airbnb is to get like properties fully occupied and like booked out. Um, and I find their goal is to get properties booked out, not
Okay.
necessarily the highest total revenue, because you can have few bookings, but they're highly priced,
Mm.
and that you would still have more money than
Mm.
like super low pricing. And I think that's when I started experimenting with price labs and beyond pricing, where you see the other ones in the area. You can set rules around like the minimum that you want to charge and things like that.
Mm.
And I've noticed that was a little bit better. I've now gone back to manual because my co-host manages it, so it's out of their commission that they need to manually update the prices daily depending on what's happening.
Mm.
But they also um, enjoy like fine tuning it, and they get paid a percentage of the booking. But I've noticed, and it'd be interesting to hear other guests comment on whether smart pricing has been effective or in terms of like total revenue or just getting your place occupied, because those are two different objectives. Like if you want a lot of guest turnover to get reviews, then it's okay to underprice because then you'll get more guests and you'll be booked out more. But I think after becoming a superhost, I'd rather hold my prices high for those important periods and only drop them when they're close to the date where I can't be selling them, where there's leftover days. And I don't have a minimum. I think I have a 1 night minimum, so no minimums. And so I do have some nights between bookings, and those ones I will sell lower to get a guest
Yeah.
rather than leave it empty.
Yeah.
Those are a
So
bit
we all have a
awkward.
different sort of motivation, don't we? Like yours is
Exactly.
very different to mine. And I know my daughter
Hmm.
started using smart pricing because she's in an area of Melbourne that's not as popular down in the south in Cheltenham,
Hmm.
and she wasn't sure how she'd go. And she's not living there herself at the moment. She's now living with her partner. So she's put smart pricing on, and it's booked all the time because people are happy to be there,
Mm.
pay less.
That's right.
And so I think that's better for
Mhm.
her at the moment than putting high price and not getting anyone in there. So it just depends, doesn't it, on our motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
The smart
I,
pricing does optimize for occupancy.
Mm.
I liked it when Airbnb introduced on the calendar the dots which show when there's events happening. That's really helpful. I mean, but in Sydney, I generally know when the events are happening, but it's good as reminders with pricing.
I had someone booked for the Grand Prix. Someone booked for the Grand Prix, which is in March, and they booked for a week, and it was what I considered fairly high price. And then they cancelled just the other day, and
That happens.
I quickly went on and made it higher. And I'm not joking, within 2 hours, I had another booking. And I knew I would because it's Grand Prix.
Well
And
done.
instead of the week, I decided to go much higher and just do 4 days because it was more convenient for me not to be out of here for a whole week. And I ended up with almost the same amount of money for the 4 days as I would have for the week. So I was rather proud of myself jumping in there before someone else got to it.
Well done.
Good. What are some of the lessons you've learned through the feedback in the reviews that you received?
Yeah, there have been a couple of things. So I'm, as I mentioned before, quite tall, and my cupboards here in the kitchen are high. And at first, I didn't have a stool, a stepping ladder thing, like a stool for people to get up to the top cupboards. And I had some feedback on we can't reach the glasses because people couldn't reach up to my
Did you
top.
add a stool to it?
So I just put I
That
got
would
one of
be
those little.
me. No.
I just got a little stool and put that in the house, and that solved that problem. So, and then I think it actually might have been a guest that figured out originally about that I hadn't mentioned the bathroom fan. So right back in the beginning, someone pointed that out to me and didn't know how to turn it off. So that's why I've added that to my notes. So each thing that I've had pointed out to me, I've made sure I've added it to my notes, and sometimes I've actually changed it in my profile online just so people know. Um, But there hasn't been anything major. It's just been little things that I hadn't realised were needed to be said, I guess. We had a situation in our building where people were leaving the front door open, and I was a bit worried that it might have been my Airbnb guests, just being a bit sort of slack. So I've now put onto my notes, and I do say it to them in person to really be sure they make sure the door shuts behind them. So little things like that need fine-tuning.
And what is your number one tip for someone else who's considering entering this space, putting their one-bedroom place on Airbnb?
Yeah, I think you have to be prepared to remove everything that sort of is very personal. That's important for me. I've got one cupboard locked in the bedroom that everything goes in that's personal. So if you walked into my place when it's set up ready to go, you wouldn't really see anything that people would be able to identify that it was me, apart from I do still have a couple of photos on the wall of family, and they're okay with the family's okay with that, and I think that gives it a bit of a homely feel, so I'm okay leaving those there. But everything else is just put away, and I've just recently learnt about spare linen because I have a linen press that's very well organised, and I had the Airbnb linen at the front, and this person stayed for 12 days, so I was expecting them to want to change their linen, and I had it at the front, and I had it written in the notes which linen it was, and they ended up using my linen. So I've changed that now, and I'm leaving the Airbnb linen in a plastic box under the bed, so they won't need to access the linen press at all. So just little things. I don't really want people sleeping on my sheets, and I have special linen for Airbnb. I even have a mattress protector that's just for Airbnb. So that I'm
Same. I have pillow protectors too.
and pillows, yes. I'm very fussy about that personal stuff, and I really don't feel comfortable with people just using my own towels, or so I had to make changes there to make sure that there wasn't any misunderstanding. Yeah.
Very good. With
My bit,
all the experience you've gained now,
I have
go on.
actually. I feel like I've been fine-tuning the whole time, and now it's at a point where it pretty much, once I get the clean done and get it ready for people, it runs itself really smoothly now.
And with the experience that you've gained now, what are your future plans? Will you consider helping other Airbnb hosts co-host? Or are you getting another property? Helping your daughter, maybe?
No, I still feel the same, that it's just a little add-on for me, really. I don't have any desire to go into it any further. I've got a very rich life full of a lot of other things, and so if this can give me a little bit of income when I'm not here, then that's the whole goal of it. And plus, as you said earlier, Ray, providing that alternative to that empty house syndrome that happens a lot, where you go away for 6 weeks and your house is empty for 6 weeks. So I feel like it's a real win-win opportunity.
It absolutely is. I agree. Those were all the questions I had, Silvia.
I'm just curious, when you have the 12-night stay, like you said, Carmel, the plants obviously need watering. Do you ask the guests to water them, or do you ask for access, or for your friend on the 5th floor to have access to water them?
Yeah, good question. I sort of started going down that track before and I went on a tangent, but the plants are a bit of an issue. I have an automatic system out in the urban jungle that can turn itself on, and so that's not a problem out there. But my indoor plants need watering a little bit once a week, say in summer at least. So generally I just ask, do you mind giving them a bit of water in a week? Because I actually had a guest in November for a month. They were renovating their home just around the corner, and they wanted somewhere to stay. So I just said to them, do you mind keeping the plants okay? And they were fine with that. But I have noticed that I've reduced the number of plants that I've got inside over the time that I've been doing Airbnb, because it is a bit tricky to expect people to look after your plants. So I don't have as many as I did have originally.
Right.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you wanted to mention?
Just one little thing about my building neighbours are not that keen on the whole fact that I do Airbnb. And I think it's a bit of a ignorance, actually, about, well, maybe it's they hear it in the media, that some of them are very worried that they'll get people that are loud and noisy and, you know, disturbing them. And so I've had to keep it a little bit quiet. I've spoken to a couple of close neighbours and they know, but it's not something I talk to everyone about. Legally, they've got no right to tell me not to. Yeah, they can't. There's no reason why I can't Airbnb my apartment. But because we're such a tight community and we all know each other, I am so strict on who I choose. Like, I won't choose anyone unless they've got lots of good reviews and they're verified. And I always watch what their response is like to me when they make a booking and I confirm. Then I write a little note back saying, looking forward to hosting you or whatever. And usually I get a little response and I can tell a lot from that. And also, because I hand over the key in person, I always say that I'm looking forward to meeting you when I hand over the key. And then they have to tell me an expected time of arrival too. So there's a little bit of communication that happens before they're actually here. And I haven't had to do it yet, but if I felt as if this person isn't right for my home, I think I would probably have to say, well, sorry, but, you know, you can't stay. I'm not sure how that goes legally. I'll probably be in trouble with Airbnb, but
I think you can cancel the booking if you don't feel comfortable by the messaging.
Yeah.
I've had to cancel an approved booking before.
Yeah. So I'm quite fussy because my neighbour, I sort of don't want my neighbours to be upset by it. And to be honest, I think I've had like maybe 12 or 15 guests so far, and they have all been the most amazing, interesting, lovely people.
Excellent.
So I
Well,
think
I
I
hope you
must be good
continue
at
with that.
choosing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time today and coming on our show to talk about your story, Carmel.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
very much
Carmel.
Thanks for having me.
And lots of luck with it all.
Yeah, thank you.